Hello, I'm Shaunna. I'm passionate about pages and very excited for the current product of the month. This one is called Eyelet Blooms and it launched at the beginning of April. If you live in Australia, you can purchase it for just $9 when your order reaches $125. If you live outside of Australia, check with your demonstrator what your threshold will be. This is a large die cut, okay, so it's 6 inches by 4¼ inches, so it cuts a full panel, right? Really pretty pattern. I'm not going to show you like completed scrapbook pages or something. I've got one card to show you, but I'm going to give you several hints and tips for using this and how you might dress it up and vary the look of it, okay? But I want to start with the actual cutting of it, alrighty? So I have left the gold foil piece on the plate, okay? Because it has so many fine cuts, it will probably stay on your plate. If you find when you're cutting with it, and it's just a regular sandwich for it, but if you find lots and lots of the pieces stay inside, you may like to try the little trick of actually changing the arrangement of your plates so that the paper is uppermost. You know, normally we would put that down on the plate, the paper on the plate and the die on the top, but for this one, for some reason, it does work a little bit better if you have it up. Now it'll change from machine to machine, brand to brand, okay? I do have to tell you that this tool will be a very good friend for you. So this is the take a pick tool, and this is one of the add-ons you can get where it's the brush head, and then you've got a piercing tool on the other end. Okay, so you can just take off the other bits you've got and swap this around. However, because I use this one so often, I actually bought myself a second take a pick tool, so I've got 2 barrels. I keep the foam that comes with the brush head inside one of the little boxes from my my brown box card kits, because it collects all the debris. Okay, so let's see. You just need to lift it up and pull it out, and you see, because I did it with the paper uppermost, most of these are coming out. The ones that get stuck tend to be the ones around the edges. Alrighty, so it's pretty good. But if I then lay it down on top of the foam, you'll see here there's quite a few where they haven't come out of the holes. Just kind of, and you can be quite rough with this, and you want to change direction, okay? And you'll see it's pushed out some of those. And I think we're pretty good to go on this, that's all come out, okay? But because they came out of here means they are stuck in here. Now, the reverse side of this foil is white, so it's hard to see, but you can see here some have popped out and others not. So what you want to do again is just pop that down, and you want to change your directions. Go crossy-crossy. That's a technical term. Feel free to use it. And you'll get most of them out, particularly the larger pieces, okay? You'll see all of that came out. But what happens with the gold foil is that lots of these little dots stay in. So we just have to practice some slow crafting, bit of mindfulness, meditative moment as you just go through and poke out the little holes. So if your personality is one that you just need to get things done quickly, you have 2 choices. You either just take a big breath and go, okay, I can do hard things, or perhaps this is not the die for you. I am definitely of the camp that effort is worth the reward, okay? And you'd go through and poke them out. Alrighty. And then look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So it looks sensational on foil. I always do cut a slightly larger piece of paper so that you see here it moved a little tiny bit as I was arranging it on the plate, but it didn't cut off the edge there. Okay, so that's my number one tip. Now this one here, I cut from one of the new in colours, which is called Barely Blush. And I just wanted to show you that just having it flat like this, you can make some changes to the way it looks with a little bit of stamping. So if you have a look through your stamps, you're looking for some that have like these flower centers that might be in them, or a little like this little one here is an actual little leafy open flower, an outlined flower. And then you can just have a little bit of a play. I've got another one of the in colours. It's called what's it called, Crisp Cantaloupe, and it's the wrong one. This is the one, the solid circle I wanted to use for Crisp Cantaloupe, and I can just go through and add those in. So you could do that to some of the flowers, to all of the flowers, you know, whatever makes you happy. And then the Barely Blush is the one that I was using with this one, because this is more of a textured one that came out of the Impressions of Bloom set. And so doing tone on tone, of course, it's a more subtle colour. And my head's not right over this, so mine aren't lining up nicely. But I did do the first row of each one to show you that you can make it look pretty. And then the last one was just this random flower I found. I don't know about you, but I find random stamps. After I've cleared everything up, I'll often find a random stamp somewhere and be like, where'd that come from? And so I actually have a stamp packaging that I've labelled homeless stamps, and this little flower happened to be in it. So one day I'll come across the packaging and realise where this one comes from. Alrighty, so that gives you, you know, one idea for how to dress that up. And that one, that colour was Golden Glow, which is another of the new in colours launching the first Tuesday of May. Alrighty, so your first option is just to add a little bit of stamping to it. Another option you have is to use your blending brushes and add some colour to it. Okay, so I used the Barely Blush, the Crisp Cantaloupe, and the Hydrangea Hue. I wasn't really thinking I should have used the Golden Glow, the yellow in the middle, because when blue and orange overlap, they make brown. Whereas if I'd used yellow here, it would have enhanced the orange colour. However, now it's dried, I don't hate it. And once I put some extra things on this on a card front or something like that, I think it could look quite nice. But you could do an ombre going, you know, vertically, horizontally on it, you know, whatever you wanted to vary the colours of it, okay? You could also use your brayer to go over, or you could ink up the white cardstock before you ran it through the embossing folder, okay? So that's your choices for adding ink. Now, some clever person, and it's been done by a few people now, so I don't know who to give original credit to. I think it was someone who's on the design, pardon me, sorry about that, someone who's on the design team for the product of the month. She suggested that if you swap out the piercing tip for one of the embossing tips, the smaller, they're the ones with the ball on them. You may, if you don't have this gadget, you probably have a gadget that does it. And then when you turn the paper over, and just in each petal of the larger flower, you do a couple of little circles, you get this lovely textured look to it, which completely changes its appearance. This is just flat, and this is where you've done those few little turns with the tool. So that's another way that you can dress it up. Okay. Then the other thing that you can actually do is you can cut the larger flowers apart, because most of it is already cut by the die. So here's a little example of one I've done that with. Okay. If you are planning to cut a shape using the embossing folder, what you do is you cut the shape first. Then just take the negative one and kind of move it around on the plate till you find something that's going to be pleasing. So I quite liked the idea of having part of the large flowers in that curve shape there. This particular die came from the Peaceful Days set, which was end of last year, I think that came out. So by using that, I know roughly where to position my my shape, and then I can just eyeball it to make sure that there's the same amount of the flower showing beyond the sides, and it's nicely aligned top and bottom, and then run that through. Okay, so by cutting the shape first and then die cutting it, with the thing, you just get better control over where it's going. And I just worry that when this is all pre-cut, then cutting the shape, it might distort some of the shapes. Okay, so on this one, I added in a little bit of, I can't remember the name of this paper. In Stampin' Up days, it was called Paprika. I mean, in Close to My Heart days, it was called Paprika. So you'll see, if you just take your scissors and you put them under two petals and snip, it just perfectly cuts the little bridge between the petals. So this is definitely, if you like, fancier things, this is worth the effort. If you don't, then just do the little trick with the ball to raise it. And there you go. And then for this one, again, I turned it over, I rubbed each petal, and then it created a nice textured flower. And I popped in a couple of little leaves that came from the dies that came with this set as well. Now, any of these textures that you're creating can be used on cards or on scrapbook pages. So this one could be just a really nice bit of paper candy, duplicated in a few places on a layout, or it could be a focal point on a card. If you wanted to, pop it on another layer that you've cut it out, that would look quite pretty. A contrast, that those two colors would contrast really nicely. Just a solid piece of paper, something like that. You could put a sentiment in here, things like that. The other thing that you can do, and this idea is not mine, it's taken directly from the flyer. Okay, all I changed was that I made mine the other orientation. So what you can do is cut around a segment. So it was 3 large flowers by 4 large flowers. And if you just start down in one corner, you end up with like this bit left over. So I have used this here for a card, as they did. But you could just use that panel and put die cut letters on top of it as a title on a layout. Would look really cool. To just, you know, make it a bit jazzier. If you wanted to create a border on a page, you could cut along the full length on both sides, and because that's 6 inches, it would be long enough to make a 12-inch border, and then you would hide, you know, part of the edge underneath another piece of paper, or have that just meeting the outside edge of your layout, which would be pretty cool. Now, if you have cut for this, for your title on your page, you can then use this leftover piece as a photo mount, because if you put a 6x4 photo over the cut, no one will know it's there. So I hope this has inspired you to think a little bit about how you might use this great tool. I love that this is a really intricate die, and they're normally really expensive, and we can get it for $9 while stocks last. So head on over, and if you're watching this between the 15th and the 17th of April, it's double rewards offering. So your $125 spend, instead of just earning $12.50 in rewards, you'll earn $25 in rewards. All right, thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon.